Is it homage or homage? Homage? Homage. Sounds like you're about to eat Thanksgiving dinner. But homage, now that sounds French. That's classy. It's more sincere. You get my toes in this? Thank God. Homage. Homage. Well, anyway, V1, V2. You know, this does carry the V2 name for certain enhancements. Today we're going to talk about the Sockliner. I used to work in a run specialty store with Jake, actually, downstairs over at Rogue Running. And, you know, we often would get in new pairs of shoes and they would be so dramatically different than the old ones. So something as a part of the ethos with the base model is kind of pick up where we found, I guess you could say pick up where we left off and take the consumer feedback, the athlete feedback that we got, and apply that as meaningful as we can. Not make something too dramatic of a change, but kind of just make an enhancement of the original shoe that I would like to think won the hearts of many endurance runners out there. And I know it did for myself, and it was very special to me. So you can imagine that, yeah, we just wanted to see how we could top it. So today we're going to talk about the Sockliner. Something that's oddly kind of not talked about a lot. I think about it a lot, especially when designing the shoe. And the way that I want to present some of the enhancements is by talking about the old base model first, the OG base model. It had a 5mm traditional EVA Sockliner, and kind of served its purpose very well. A little atypical, being 5mm. A lot of Sockliners are contoured and formed and molded, but this one just, when we were designing the base model, the original, it just fits so well within the tooling of the midsole. It kind of has this little pocket down there, and it kind of, the whole package, the cocktail of it was just really perfect. So we went with it. It's super light, but it did have a con. And we noticed this in the feedback of the shoe, specifically with the quality of the ride over time. And a lot of folks would say things like, hey, after 100 miles or so, 150 miles, my shoes feel dead. Some folks even less than that. And it wasn't necessarily within the construction of the upper and the midsole. A lot of it had to do, we believe, with the Sockliner. Traditional EVA is not incredibly resilient, doesn't give you that bounce back feel, and it actually can deflate after short periods of time. And so we found that maybe after that 50-mile marker, you'd have like half the life of your Sockliner left. And sometimes it would just thin out so much where the shoe felt fundamentally different. And consistency of the ride within the duration of the durability, so to speak, of the shoe is a very big deal. I think it's a huge deal. So you have 5mm of material and a die-cut liner. So we wanted to explore how we can make it better to contribute to the fact that how can you make a shoe last longer, be more consistent, and feel great while you maximizing the same space allocated within basically the lasting process or the construction of the upper, the patterning of the upper. So we went with thermoplastic polyurethane. It's a badass material. It's super resilient, it's super bouncy, it's super consistent. Looks the same on the 5mm kind of cut out with the die cut as well, and but it feels just magical. I know it's kind of, again, it's kind of weird to be talking about a Sockliner as if it really, really matters, but I do think it's a huge part of the cocktail of the ride. And if there is a con to it, again, the pro being that it's very resilient, bouncy, consistent, it'll bring you into hundreds of miles while still maintaining that 5mm and that bounce and all that great stuff. If there was a con, it would be in the weight, actually. So This EVA liner in a size 9 weighs in at about 0.5 ounces or so. This weighs in at about 0.8, so you pick up about 0.3 ounces in the liner. Doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're measuring every single part of the shoe to contribute to the greater whole of it, then these things do matter. So, especially in how they play on each other, the materials. But it's really cool, though, to think about this in terms of, it's kind of confusing, but if you think about this picking up 0.3 ounces and the V2 shaving a fraction or many fractions of an ounce, let's see. So here's a V1 that I have here without the liner and a V2 without the liner in the same size, sample size 9. V1 weighs in at 5.6, and then the V2 weighs in at 5.0. So the fundamental chassis of the upper and the midsole, you lose some weight with the V2, but you gain a little bit for an overall net weight. Does anybody follow me? Not that it really matters, because weight shouldn't be talked about that much. We should really be talking about quality of the ride, but it's cool, and I think that some people might want to know why we went with it, so that's why we're doing this video. Guess it's a little bit in-depth, but that's okay. So an overall net weight of the V2 featuring the thermoplastic polyurethane and the V1 with the traditional EVA are about the same. Maybe a little lighter in the V2 in many cases. Again, when you pull something off a factory line, there's discrepancies in weight. Durometers are, slightly variant, which can contribute to a different weight shoe in fractions of a gram, stuff like that. But overall, either a net zero kind of difference on the weight, siding with, I guess you could weigh it all in, we could see. I keep bringing them lighter, but then again, I don't like make promises we can't keep, because we've done that before and it's kind of embarrassing. 5.8 ounces here, and 6.1 here. And I'm being very conservative because, again, another sample shoe in the V2 weighed in at 6.2. So you're all in that, just round it to 6 and things are fine. Again, these are pulled off the sample pair line. So what do we know? Let's back this up for a second and kind of clean it all up. V1 featured a traditional EVA die-cut liner. V2 features a TPU, aka thermoplastic polyurethane liner. It's more resilient. It's a fraction of an ounce heavier, but it's well more consistent, and it promotes what I believe to be a better ride, especially within the cocktail of the new supercritical EVA midsole versus the traditional EVA midsole. How that's going to translate in your runs, I can't wait to hear what you think about it. We don't believe in huge leaps and bounds on something that has proven to be well received by dedicated athletes. I fell in love with the V1, so we didn't want to go too apeshit about changing things up. We didn't want to create a fundamentally different shoe or a fundamentally different ride. We just wanted to enhance it, address some of the concerns about consistency and durability, and go from there. So next week we'll probably tap into another great feature. Next week we'll either talk about the midsole or the perforated tongue, another seemingly small thing that contributes to a world of difference, in my humble opinion. But can't wait to see what you guys think. Thanks for following along, and looking forward to presenting the V2 to you guys closer to the end of September. By the way, fun fact, ports are clogged right now. The Port of New York, where the kicks come in for us, is, you never really know. Looks like they say that they're on the 6th, but last week it was the 25th. Next week it might be the 24th, one day ago. We don't know. So they're coming in soon. They're holding pattern at the port, and we're just waiting to get some lines so that we can get these things processed, put in inventory, quality checked, and onto the site, onto your feet. Adios for now. Catch y'all later.